There's been a lot of talk about the NBA product not being as enjoyable because of all the three-point attempts.
Analytics kind of took over the game being played. Coaches want three-pointers or they want to lay up or get to the free throw line. There's been a lot of stars that have been injured. A kid that loves a certain star and they're not going to go play, and it's like, there's no point of me going to the game.
If the NBA were a star athlete and its media partners were its coaches, the conversation right now would sound something like this. You're not living up to expectations after that massive new contract, and that's no exaggeration. Just 2 months into the season, the league's ratings are making headlines, and not the good kind. What is the real problem of the NBA? Join us in this video as we reveal everything we have heard so far about why the NBA ratings are falling so badly. First, let's look at the numbers. ESPN's ratings are down a staggering 28% as of November 21st. Over on TNT, things aren't as dramatic, but they're not improving either. Viewership is flat at 1.8 million per game. ESPN trails just slightly behind with 1.77 million. For a league that just inked a jaw-dropping $76 billion media rights deal, these numbers aren't exactly slam dunks. So what's going on? Why is the NBA struggling to hold the attention of its fans? Analysts point to a few culprits. One major issue: there are just too many games. With a packed schedule, even diehard fans can start to feel fatigue. On top of that, the constant team and player shuffles have created a lack of continuity. Players switch jerseys like they're playing musical chairs, and teams are rolling out new uniform designs so often it's hard to keep up. For some fans, this whirlwind of change has made it harder to stay connected. And let's not forget the league's controversial dive into social justice issues. While the NBA's activism has been praised by many, it's also turned away a segment of more conservative viewers. Add to that the growing perception that even the players don't take the regular season seriously, with stars routinely sitting out games for rest. And it's no wonder fan engagement is dropping. The timing of this slump couldn't be worse. Just this past summer, the NBA signed its massive TV deal, locking in partnerships with Disney, ABC, and ESPN, Amazon's Prime Video, and NBC Universal starting this year. This deal nearly tripled the league's annual revenue from its previous contract. You'd think such a windfall would come with soaring viewership, but the numbers tell a different story. However, Wall Street isn't panicking, at least not yet. All of these media partners have entered into long-term deals with the NBA, and I'd say they're all very excited about the path ahead and the trajectory of the league, said Robert Fishman, a senior analyst at MoffettNathanson, in an interview with The Wrap. And so any sort of short-term ratings blip is really not what they're focused on. But let's be real, these networks have invested heavily in basketball, and declining ratings make every viewer more expensive to secure. The cost to acquire each NBA viewer has climbed, thanks in part to the intense bidding war for those media rights. Amazon's deal alone clocks in at $1.8 billion per year, a price tag that ultimately ended the NBA's decades-long relationship with Turner Sports. When the NBA opted to go with Amazon, it left Turner, owned by Warner Bros. Discovery, in the dust, cutting short a 38-year partnership. The fallout was messy. Warner Bros. Discovery sued the league, but later reached a settlement that lets them license their beloved Inside the NBA show to ABC. Despite the resolution, WBD's stock took a hit, leaving some analysts questioning how the company will fare without the NBA in its corner. And while this season's ratings dip might still prove to be a temporary hiccup, let's not forget the bigger picture. NBA ratings have been sliding for years. Take ESPN, for example. Back in the 2016-17 season, the network averaged 1.9 million viewers in the first month. This year, that's down by 7%. Even though Nielsen started including out-of-home viewing, like bars and restaurants, in its ratings in 2020. In other words, the numbers are artificially boosted compared to a decade ago, and yet the league is still falling short. Why it matters for media partners. Here's where things get dicey for the networks. That ratings decline is a serious issue because it drives up the cost per viewer for the NBA's media partners. Before this season, the league's new TV deal averaged out to $12.12 per viewer. But depending on the package, the costs vary widely. Disney's bundle sits at $6.40 per viewer, while Amazon's is an eye-popping $25.45 per viewer, a steep price to pay for a league whose viewership is trending downward. For comparison, the NFL's latest deal, signed in 2021, offers far more value. The NFL secured a whopping $110 billion over 11 years from media giants like CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, and Amazon. And get this, the NFL's cost per viewer is about 3 times less than the NBA's. That's an enormous gap. Does this mean the NBA's deal was a bad one? Not necessarily. Maybe the NFL is just a complete steal. Michael Morris, an analyst at Guggenheim Partners, told The Wrap. Still, if the NBA's ratings keep falling, its media partners will face pressure to recoup their investments. So how will they do it? Networks like ESPN and NBC Universal may lean heavily on sports betting to generate additional revenue from NBA games. Imagine turning every free throw into a chance to place a quick wager. Meanwhile, Amazon has its own unique edge, e-commerce. If you're watching a Lakers game on Prime Video, you might get hit with a well-timed ad for an Anthony Davis jersey, or even a Lakers-themed coffee mug. But here's the catch. If the ratings continue to slide, these strategies might not be enough to make the deal look like a slam dunk compared to the NFL's. Networks will have to think outside the box, way outside, to make their investment in the NBA pay off. Former players and fans aren't holding back. The NBA's challenges don't stop at load management. Over the years, the league has become a lightning rod for criticism from fans and even former players. Former coach George Karl, for one, hasn't held back his thoughts. Feelings on Trump aside, the election last year was a statement on change. He tweeted, "The league I love and help build, the NBA, needs to acknowledge the same. Fans tell me daily the games are unwatchable. The entertainment has surpassed the sport. The NBA should listen and respond." That's a harsh statement coming from someone who spent decades shaping the league, but he's not alone. Shaquille O'Neal, the larger-than-life NBA legend, has his own theory about why fans are tuning out. On his podcast, Shaq said, "It's down because we're looking at the same thing. Everybody is running the same plays. Steph Curry and those guys messed it up." Wait, what? How could Steph Curry, one of the most electrifying players of all time, mess it up? Shaq's argument is simple. Curry and the Golden State Warriors revolutionized the game with their three-point shooting. But now, according to O'Neal, every team is trying to copy them, and not every team has a Steph Curry. "It's a copycat league," Shaq said. "Everybody wants to be Steph Curry, but everybody's not Steph Curry, and that's why viewership is down. These dudes need to wake up, because if viewership is down, the money is going to come down." Fans have echoed Shaq's thoughts, arguing that the NBA's obsession with three-point shooting has made the game monotonous. Even worse, it's taken away some of the physicality and intensity that used to define basketball. The league has tried to address some of these concerns, introducing new initiatives like the NBA Cup, a mid-season tournament designed to inject excitement into the regular season. While the tournament has shown promise, it's not a cure-all. Fans have also suggested more radical solutions. One idea, push the NBA season back so it doesn't compete directly with NFL and college football viewership. After all, it's hard to capture attention when you're up against America's most popular sport. But let's not forget Commissioner Silver's take. He blames external factors like the World Series and the 2024 presidential election for the recent dip in ratings. "I think we're just looking at a couple weeks of ratings," Silver told Front Office Sports. "There's always some unique things. This year, we were up against the World Series, Dodgers-Yankees, two very attractive teams. You had a presidential election, which was commanding an enormous amount of attention. So I don't think it has anything whatsoever to do with the style of play on the floor." Silver may have a point, but it's hard to ignore the broader trends. Even without external distractions, the NBA's ratings have been in steady decline for years. Can the NBA turn things around? There's no denying the NBA faces challenges. Load management, over-reliance on three-pointers, and a growing perception that the regular season is meaningless have all taken their toll. And while the league remains incredibly popular, these issues can't be ignored. The good news? The NBA has shown it's willing to adapt. The question is whether the changes, like the NBA Cup, will be enough to reignite fan passion. For now, the league's future depends on one thing: convincing fans that every game matters again. Because if the players and teams don't value the regular season, why should anyone else? As Shaq warned, if viewership is down, the money is going to come down. And that's a game the NBA can't afford to lose. The clock is ticking, and the NBA needs to figure out how to win back its audience before the buzzer sounds on this long-term deal. Otherwise, those coaches might start looking for a new game plan.